Ever found yourself just staring at an email that's super vague? Or maybe you've sat through one of those meetings, the ones where everyone talks,
Oh, yeah.
but nothing actually gets decided. Because the requests, they were just so unclear.
It's so frustrating, isn't it? That
Yeah.
feeling of just spinning your wheels.
Exactly. That sense of wasted time and the endless back and forth emails trying to figure out what someone meant. But what if I told you, and get this, the secret to communicating better, clearer, more effectively in the workplace might actually come from, well, talking to AI.
Yeah. It sounds a bit counterintuitive at first, doesn't it?
It does. Okay, let's unpack this. Today, we're doing a deep dive into something called prompt engineering. That's basically the art of how you structure your questions or instructions for an AI. And we're going to explore how its core ideas, its principles, could actually revolutionize the way we talk to each other, making our human interactions, sharper, more productive.
And hopefully less confusing.
Definitely less confusing, less of those head-scratching moments.
Yeah, it's a really intriguing idea, this connection between machine communication and improving our human interaction. So our mission today really is to look at the fundamentals. What makes a good AI prompt work so well? And then understand the psychology. Why do these same ideas resonate with, well, with human brains?
Mm.
And from there, see how actually applying these lessons can lead to clearer, much more productive conversations in, pretty much any professional setting. But crucially, we also need to talk about the nuances, right? The potential pitfalls. Because like you said, people aren't machines.
Absolutely. That's key. So let's start with the AI side. What is prompt engineering in simple terms? Think about asking an AI chatbot something super general like, how do I improve my business?
What do you get back from that?
Probably something incredibly generic, right? Advice that could apply to, I don't know, a lemonade stand or a huge corporation. It's not very helpful.
No. It's the digital version of that vague email we were just talking about.
Exactly. But here's where it gets really interesting. Imagine you change that prompt. You get specific, like, I run a 50-person software consultancy, and we're struggling with client retention after the project ends. What are 3 concrete strategies to maintain ongoing relationships with clients once their initial projects are delivered?
Ah, okay. Now you're giving it something to work with.
Right, and suddenly the AI gives you tailored, actionable advice, stuff you can actually use because it fits your specific problem. That's prompt engineering. It's structuring your input, your request, to get the most useful output possible.
Precisely. And what's fascinating here, I think, is that core idea works whether you're talking to an AI or a person. The quality of the output you get. It really depends heavily on the quality of the input you provide.
Makes total sense.
Yeah, just like with AI, a vague input can lead to weird results, right?
Yeah.
AI folks call them hallucinations.
Oh, it's valid.
Relevant stuff. Well, a vague request to a human, it can make them sort of hallucinate a solution too, based on incomplete info or their own biases, not what you actually need.
That's a great way to put it. They fill in the blanks themselves.
Exactly. So to get that useful, tailored response, you need more. You need those key elements we see in good prompts. Things like specificity over just being general, providing the right context, maybe defining the format you want the answer in,
Mhm.
and sometimes setting clear constraints or parameters.
When you lay it out like that, it feels kind of obvious. We already see this in good human communication, don't we? We just don't call it prompt engineering.
We don't, but the principles are there.
Think about asking a colleague just casually, hey, can you help me with this project?
Right, the classic vague request. What happens next?
Well, best case, they say, sure, what do you need? But often they forget, right? Or they do their version of help, which isn't actually what you needed.
And then you waste more time fixing it or clarifying later.
Yeah.
It's just too open-ended. They're left guessing your real intention. Okay, so now contrast that with a more, let's say, prompt-engineered human request. Imagine saying, could you review the financial projections, specifically in Section 3 of our Q4 proposal, and let me know if the revenue assumptions seem realistic based on your experience with similar clients.
Okay, much clearer already.
Then add, I need your feedback by Thursday so I can incorporate any changes before the big client meeting.
Ah, the deadline and the why.
Precisely. What's fascinating here is how that single request hits all those prompt engineering points. Specificity, review Section 3, focus on revenue assumptions. Context, your experience with similar clients matters. Format, feedback on realism. Constraints, by Thursday.
It guides them directly.
Exactly. You're not just asking for generic help. You're guiding them to a very specific, useful outcome. And importantly, you're reducing the mental effort, the cognitive load on their end. They know exactly what to do.
And it's not just about being efficient, is it? There's a deeper sort of psychological reason this clarity works so well for us humans. It kind of mirrors how AI processes things in a way.
It does. When we get those vague requests, our brains actually have to work harder.
Right. We have to fill in the gaps, make assumptions.
Do all this extra cognitive labor. And it's not just annoying. It actually triggers things in our brains. Like ambiguity aversion, we naturally shy away from unclear things.
Or we jump to conclusions based on our own biases.
Exactly. Confirmation bias. We interpret the vague request in a way that fits what we already think, not necessarily what the asker needs.
And the result? When our brains have to work that hard just to understand the question.
We delay.
Wow.
We procrastinate. Or we give a half-baked answer just to get it off our plate. Or we just avoid it altogether because it feels too overwhelming.
Yeah, I can see that. Like, think about marketing. Someone asks, what do you think of our marketing campaign?
Ooh, that's a classic vague one. Where do you even start?
Right. The person asked has to mentally scan everything. Guess what aspect you care about? It's tough. Now compare that to looking at our campaign's performance metrics from the last 3 months. Which specific elements do you think most helped our 15% increase in lead gen? And which parts should we maybe modify for next quarter?
Big difference. That second version, it doesn't just ask for an opinion. It activates specific analytical thinking.
It gives them a framework.
Exactly. A clear framework. It guides them to provide actionable insights, not just a general, yeah, it's okay feeling.
And this applies beyond just simple requests, right? Like brainstorming.
Oh, absolutely. If you start a brainstorm with just, okay, team, let's think of ideas,
Yeah.
what usually happens?
Chaos. Lots of random stuff.
Pretty much. Scattered surface-level suggestions. It often doesn't lead anywhere productive, fast. But if you frame it like, okay, we need solutions that will cut customer service response time by at least 30%. Importantly, while maintaining our current quality standards. And let's focus specifically on our top 3 most common inquiry types.
Okay, now that feels like a solvable problem.
Right. It provides that mental scaffolding. It enables much more focused, innovative thinking because you've defined the problem space clearly. It cuts through the noise, which, raises an important question for all of us. How much mental scaffolding are we actually giving people in our daily communications?
Or how much are we leaving them to build it themselves?
Exactly. Often leading to frustration and wasted effort.
That scaffolding idea, it really brings us nicely to managers and leaders. Because traditional management, let's be honest, often relies on those big, general directives.
Like improve team productivity.
Yeah, or focus on customer satisfaction. Noble goals, for sure.
Absolutely.
But they lack that actionable clarity, right? Team members hear that and think, okay, but how? What steps do I actually take?
It's like giving someone a compass but no map, like you said earlier, and then wondering why they're wandering around. You're making them guess the best path.
So how can a manager prompt engineer those directives?
Well, instead of just improve team productivity, a manager could try something like this. Okay, team, our data shows we currently complete about 12 client projects a month. Our department goal is 15.
Okay, starting with data. Clear metrics.
Exactly. Then, looking at our current workflow, I'd like us to identify 3 specific bottlenecks in our process. And for each bottleneck, propose one concrete solution we could implement within the next 2 weeks.
Wow, okay, that's completely different.
See? It gives clear metrics, acknowledges where they are now, and provides a structured framework for problem solving. It empowers the team. It tells them how to contribute to that productivity goal in a measurable way.
It's not just a vague mandate anymore.
Right. And the same applies to feedback, which, let's face it, is often terrible.
Your presentations need work. Thanks, super helpful.
Exactly. Instead, try. Hey, in your last 3 client presentations, I noticed the audience seemed to lose engagement during the technical sections, maybe around the 15-minute mark.
Okay, specific observation.
Then, could you think about maybe 2 ways to make those parts more interactive, or perhaps more visual? Let's chat about your ideas in our next one-on-one.
Identifies the issue, pinpoints when, suggests a focus, and sets a clear next step. Much better.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, these kinds of precise directives, they don't just solve the immediate issue. They empower teams. They foster proactive thinking and growth because the path forward is clear.
It shifts the burden of interpretation back to the person making the request, where it should be.
Exactly right.
It's amazing how much clarity comes from just being more thoughtful about that initial input. And a huge part of that, it seems, is context.
Oh, absolutely crucial.
We know humans, unlike AI, we have shared experiences, background knowledge within an organization.
Sure, we can infer things.
But even so, providing explicit context is still incredibly helpful, isn't it? Especially in complex jobs where people are juggling tons of stuff.
It's critical. You can't assume everyone has the same background info you do. That's where things often go off the rails.
So when asking for input,
Always think, what background would help them give the best response? Maybe it's market conditions, maybe internal priorities, budget limits,
yeah,
whatever's relevant. I mean, I've seen so many projects get stuck just because a key piece of context was missing initially, leading to rounds and rounds of clarification emails.
such a waste of time.
Totally. So for instance, instead of just asking, hey, should we implement this new software tool, which is way too open,
Yeah, yes, Dudno doesn't cut it there.
try something like, okay, team, given that we're already managing the remote work transition and learning 2 other new platforms this quarter, plus our training budget is tight, do you think implementing this new project management software, which needs about 10 hours of training to a person, provides enough productivity benefit to justify that short-term disruption?
Okay, that paints the full picture, the constraints, the current situation.
Exactly. It allows for a nuanced, strategic assessment, not just a gut reaction.
And it's not just context, you also mentioned structure. Structuring for success.
Yeah, just like good AI prompts often specify the output format, like give me a list or write a paragraph. We can do that with humans too. When you ask for input, think about how you want it back. Should they list pros and cons? Should they focus on immediate versus long-term impact? Maybe just the top 3 key metrics.
So you guide their thinking process as well as the topic.
Precisely. It helps them organize their thoughts, reduces their mental effort, and usually improves the quality of the response.
Like with meeting agendas.
Perfect example. Instead of just discuss Q3 results, which invites rambling,
Yeah.
try review Q3 results. Each department lead presents their top achievement, their biggest challenge, and one lesson learned that other teams could benefit from.
Structured sharing ensures everyone talks, keeps it focused, creates natural flow.
Exactly. Balanced participation, built-in reflection, much more effective.
Okay, this all sounds incredibly powerful, but we do need to touch on the nuances, right? Humans aren't machines.
Crucial point. We have emotions, egos, social dynamics. AI doesn't worry about hurting feelings or sounding demanding.
So there's a potential pitfall here. If you get too structured, too detailed with your requests,
It can backfire. It can feel like micromanaging.
or like you don't trust their judgment or expertise.
Exactly. You don't want every single interaction to feel like filling out a form. It kills creativity and morale.
So what does this all mean? How do we find that balance? When do we use detailed prompts and when do we sort of pull back?
That is the million-dollar question, isn't it? The key is balancing specificity with autonomy. You need enough structure and context to enable action and avoid confusion.
Right.
But you have to leave room for expertise, creativity, and individual problem solving.
So it depends on the situation and the person.
Very much so.
Hmm.
If you're working with a senior expert on something creative, an overly rigid prompt could stifle them. You might be specific about the goal like, we need a campaign concept that grabs market share from competitor X by heating Gen Z's eco-consciousness, but leave the how wide open to their brilliance.
Okay.
But conversely, if you're onboarding someone new, or it's a really complex, high-stakes task, more specificity is probably warranted. Better safe than sorry.
So enough clarity to prevent rework, but not so much it strips away their agency.
Exactly. And sometimes the best prompt is actually a really open-ended question designed to spark curiosity, especially early in brainstorming. But even then, you can add some structure like, okay, let's generate 5 wild ideas and 5 practical ones.
Got it. And what about the why? You mentioned that earlier, too.
Yes. Unlike AI, humans really benefit from understanding why they're being asked to do something. How does this piece fit into the bigger picture? How will this information be used?
So even with a well-structured prompt.
Adding that bit of context about the purpose, the objective, it makes a huge difference. It helps people prioritize, and they usually give more thoughtful, engaged responses because they see the value of their contribution. Without the why, even a perfect prompt can feel a bit empty, like just following orders.
That makes so much sense. And that why, that context, that specificity, when leaders start modeling this kind of communication,
It creates ripples, doesn't it?
it really does. It becomes contagious. Others start doing it too. And you get this positive feedback loop going through the whole team or organization.
Yeah, the entire culture starts shifting towards clarity and being more proactive.
So how can organizations encourage this? Make it stick?
Well, one practical way is creating simple templates or frameworks, not rigid rules, but maybe guidelines for common things like project kickoffs or feedback sessions, or even just meeting requests.
Just little guardrails to make it easier.
Exactly. Guardrails, not cages. Leaders can also coach their teams on it. Ask them, if you were prompting yourself for this, what would you need to know? Or give gentle feedback. That request was good, but maybe next time add the deadline and who the report is for.
It takes effort, though, right? Some people might push back, say it takes too long to write such detailed requests.
They might. And yes, it takes a bit more thought up front. But the counter-argument, and I think the reality, is that this investment pays off massively down the line.
How so?
Think about it. It drastically cuts down on those back-and-forth clarification emails. It speeds up decision-making because everyone's on the same page faster. And you get higher quality results because there's less guesswork and fewer errors.
Fewer reworks, shorter meetings.
Projects hitting their targets more often. You see the difference. It just reinforces that core message. Communicating with more specificity and context works wonders for human intelligence, just like it does for artificial intelligence.
So there you have it. It's kind of amazing, really. These lessons from talking to machines to AI can actually make us much better at talking to each other at work.
It boils down to clarity, context, and structure.
Exactly. Recognizing that those things benefit both AI processing and human understanding in really powerful, surprisingly similar ways. We started thinking about those frustrating, vague emails and meetings, and we've kind of journeyed through how to turn them into clear, actionable, even empowering interactions.
It's not about making people robotic.
Not at all. It's about using the kind of clarity that machines need to unlock the very best of human collaboration and intelligence.
Which I think leaves us with a final thought, or maybe a question for you, the listener, to reflect on. Think about one specific communication challenge you're facing right now, maybe this week. Could be a project that's stuck, or maybe a team member who isn't quite delivering what you expected.
Okay.
Now ask yourself, how could applying just one of these prompt engineering ideas, maybe adding more specifics, providing better context, or just clarifying the output you need, how might that transform your next conversation about it?
Give it a try.
Yeah, give it a try, see what happens. You might be surprised at the difference a little bit of upfront clarity can make.